Over the past 3 years, I've interviewed 100 plus athletes that all have verticals that are at 46 or above. This includes Olympic high jumpers that are medalists. This also includes the most elite dunkers in the world. And I've asked every single one of them one question. Did you have a period of time in your life where you jumped every single day? And without fail, 100% of the time, the answer to that question has been a resounding yes. This period of time usually lasts anywhere from 1 year at the low end to up to 6 years, and it usually starts around the age of 13, 14 years old. Now, me personally, I grew up jumping every single day just from playing sports every day, and specifically playing a lot of basketball. And I always loved the dunking and jumping aspect of basketball. I was always trying to touch the net, touch the backboard every single day, during practice, after practice, when I was at my house. So I had a big background of jumping a lot, but what really got me to specifically try dunking every single day was reading this article where Joel Smith of Just Like Sports interviewed Jordan Kilgannon, which everybody knows what Jordan Kilgannon is. He is the most followed dunker. He has invented the most dunks out of literally anybody on the planet, 49.5 inch vertical, arguably the best dunker of all time. And I believe Joel Smith interviewed him when Jordan was 21 years old. And up until that point, Jordan had literally just recently started lifting weights. Before that, all he had done to get to his vertical to where it was at that point was just dunk every single day for hours. Now, I'm gonna read you guys an excerpt from this article of Jordan's answers to Joel Smith's questions. If you guys wanna read the full article, I'm gonna link it in the link in the description, so make sure you check it out. It's super interesting. Joel Smith starts by asking Kilgannon what his athletic background was like, and to tell him a little bit about his jumping and dunking progression. And this is what Jordan had to say. I grew up playing sports my entire life. I have videos of me dunking on a mini hoop at 3 years old. My dad is known around here for how good he is. So I grew up around the sport of basketball, baseball, volleyball, badminton, track, etc. So this is actually very similar to my background in sports. And this is actually something that's very, very common amongst the best athletes in the world, not just dunkers, literally anybody that has a super high vertical. If you ask them this question, and again, this is from the hundreds of interviews that I've asked the elite jumpers of the world, almost every single one of them has a huge background of variety in sports. They didn't specialize too early. They grew up playing a wide variety of sports. They got exposed to a bunch of different movements, motor patterns. This is what creates a lot of coordination, and later on allows you to learn jump technique super easily. It allows you to learn dunk super easily. So this is actually something for younger guys, like younger kids specifically. You don't want to specialize too early, play as many sports as possible. I always had a little more hops than most people on my team by maybe an inch, and there were always people with more hops than me. I guess when I was a kid, I didn't realize that jumping a lot made me jump higher, but I always tried to jump high. At the time, I didn't know that frequent practice would help me jump higher. I just thought it was part of growing up, getting bigger, jumping higher, being stronger. When I understood that dunking so often made me jump higher, I was about in grade 7. I started dunking almost every single day. I remember my first dunk at 8 feet, 8.5, 9 feet, etc. My first dunk at 16 years old and was 6 feet tall, which is super late in comparison to other dunkers. So on here, he says he started in grade 7. Usually, I think 7th graders are about 13 years old. So that's when he started dunking every single day. Then Joel Smith asked him what his training looks like, and he has this to say. Only recently, 3 months ago, remember he's around 21 years old at this time, I started to actually strength train my entire body, which has helped my dunking, but I did get to where I'm at without weights at all. All I did was dunk every single day for 3 to 4 hours on average. It didn't matter if it was on 10 feet, 9 feet, 8 feet. Some days I would dunk for 30 minutes because of being busy. Some days I would dunk for 9 hours at a time. That is absolutely bananas. The first time I ever dunked with Kilgannon, he literally dunked for 5.5 hours, and the only reason he stopped is because we all wanted to leave. So yeah, it's freaking crazy. He then goes on to explain a little bit about his inspiration to want to keep dunking a lot and stuff like that. Then he says, well, other than a few months ago, no, I never did anything outside of dunking. I just dunked every day, even if the day after I collapsed trying to get out of bed because of how sore my legs were. I went dunking no matter what. I screamed in pain and continued to make myself keep dunking for hours on end. I've even dunked in negative 35 degrees Celsius, inches of snow, in the rain at midnight till 4 in the morning, dunked after not sleeping for 3 days, you name it, I did. So that is a little bit of insight into what it takes to be the best at literally anything that you want to do. I read this article when I was younger, and it is literally the single biggest piece of inspiration that I had for becoming a dunker. And I just started doing it every single day, and it is a huge reason I got to where I am at today. So all the highest jumpers in the world have jumped every single day. Does that mean you should jump every single day to increase your vertical? The short answer, yes. Specifically, dunk as much as possible. There is a training principle called the law of specificity. It's basically whatever you want to get better at, do that more and you'll improve at it. The higher the level of specificity in your training, the more transfer it's going to have to your sport or whatever you're trying to improve. The way I like to describe it is dunking is like shooting a basketball. If you want to get better at shooting a basketball, you got to go out and shoot a lot. You got to shoot every single day and put reps in. Dunking is the exact same way. However, the downside of specificity is with too much specificity comes an increased risk of injury. Also, too much specificity lends itself to training monotony and not having enough variety. So you're gonna hit a diminishing point of returns very, very quickly. Basically, it's gonna increase your vertical very fast, but you're also gonna hit a plateau very, very quickly. The exception to this is if you're in the middle of puberty. Because when you're in the middle of puberty, you're basically drowning in testosterone and hormones, and you could literally go jog every day and your vert would probably go up. And another benefit of doing this while you're in the middle of like puberty and a growth spurt is you're teaching your body these motor patterns super early, so they're gonna be super, super ingrained. You're gonna have great jump technique if you do this when you're a kid. So if you're 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 years old, 14 years old, even up to 16, I didn't start dunking every day until I was 16. You should try your best to jump every single day if you're healthy. The way I suggest doing this is by starting off small, starting off 1 day a week for literally like 20 to 30 minutes, and then just gradually increase the time of the session, and then gradually increase the frequency of the session. So after doing that for like a month, you can add in another jump day, and then you can bump that up until you're jumping for like an hour, and then you can add in another session of 30 minutes. A bunch of ways to increase the duration and frequency, but you want to do this very gradually. If you don't do this gradually, your tendons are going to get up. Tendons don't like rapid changes in intensity and volume of whatever it is that you're doing. So if you go from not jumping every single day to trying to do it every single day, you are going to get hurt, guaranteed. It's going to happen super quickly. So gradually build up. Use your tendon pain as a guide to see if you're increasing too fast in intensity and frequency, duration, all that stuff. But it is possible to gradually build up to the point where you're able to handle doing a session every single day. Now, if you're an older athlete or an athlete that has a higher training age, this is gonna be very, very risky to do because your total output is gonna be way higher. The reason kids can do this is because they're not experiencing tons of forces through their body. Versus somebody like me who has a upper 40s to 50 inches of vertical, it's a ton of output and force and power that you're experiencing every single time you jump. And if you try to do that every single day, you're gonna freaking blow up. So for the older athletes, more experienced athletes, it's basically dunk as much as possible without getting hurt. And this is gonna be different for every athlete. If you're able to handle every session every single day, do it. You want to milk those gains as much as possible because that's the lowest hanging fruit that you can have. And then once you've had a ton of jumps under your belt, you have good jump technique, you have tens of thousands of dunks under your belt, that is a point where it is time to start shifting away from all this jumping and focus more on the training side of things. Which, by the way, if you want help on how to balance jumping and lifting on all these things, go to THPstrength.com. I'll coach you personally to jump higher. Go check it out. But to conclude the video, my final thoughts is ideally you start jumping every single day around 11, 12 years old. You build up the capacity to be able to do that. You keep doing that for as long as possible. And then basically, once you start getting knee pain and that sort of thing and overuse injuries, that's when you know it's time to start focusing on learning how to lift properly and be able to apply these other training principles once you've milked the gains out of jumping every single day. If you're an older athlete, I would highly, highly recommend mixing a high frequency of jumping with proper training. But specifically for my younger guys, you have to be jumping a lot. And then if you're an older athlete that doesn't have a big background in jumping a lot, you're also a person that jumping every day can be really good for because one, you're untrained, so you probably don't have the super high output, so you'll be able to handle all those jumps. And two, you don't have very good coordination, you haven't built in those motor patterns of all the reps of jumping and jumping properly. So learning proper jump technique is a priority, and you only can do that by jumping a ton. But that is it as far as all my thoughts about jumping every single day, guys. Make sure to leave a comment. Let's start some good discussions related to this topic. I'm really curious about what you guys think. Like the video, it helps the channel tremendously. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.